From early on, we made it clear to our kids that respect isn't just a word you say. It's something you live, something you earn through your actions. That's a lesson I had to figure out myself, but I sure didn't learn it from my parents. I was 11, stuck in the middle of a harsh winter. My dad's best friend needed a place to stay for the season because the roads were iced over and impossible to drive on. Since my sister's room had 2 beds, they shuffled us around. She took my room, and I had to bunk in hers, sharing space with that guy. One night, I woke up to some noises from the other bed. My mom and that guy were, well, doing stuff they shouldn't have been. I froze, caught off guard. My mom caught my eyes on them and hushed him sharply. "Shut up." I didn't say a word, just pulled the blanket over my head and pretended to sleep. She was right. I wasn't supposed to get involved. The next morning, I asked her about it. She smiled and told me, You dreamed it, honey." I wanted to believe her, but something didn't sit right. Then, about 2 weeks later, I caught them again, this time in my parents' bed. That's how my little sister came to be. Mom made me the family's official liar, pushing me to cover for her mistakes. Dad took on the role of father for that kid, raising her as his own, but he buried his pain in heavy drinking every night. I learned early that truth didn't matter to most people, only to me. Even now, I can't stand liars. I don't sugarcoat or defend them. Some people say I'm too blunt or harsh about it, but I don't care. My son learned the hard way too. The worst thing he could do was shut me out and stop talking. Talking to his mom? That only made small problems explode into big fights. If she got to me first, things turned into emergencies. She knew all the buttons to push. Those years were tough on him. 2 long years of walking on eggshells. But eventually, he started opening up and owning his mistakes. He just turned 16 this year, and like any teenager, he wanted his first car. He's the oldest of 3, so a lot of responsibility rests on his shoulders. Meanwhile, my youngest caught a nasty winter cold and passed it to me. So I was up late, coughing and flipping through TV channels, when I heard about these new police body cams on the news. Curious, I shot a text to a buddy, asking if they had cameras that automatically emailed footage once the memory was full. 2 days later, he called back. "Yeah, that tech's real, but it's pricey and needs free Wi-Fi to work properly." 3 cameras set me back over $2,000. I had my friend David drop off the cams at my office, along with a new laptop I'd ordered to keep everything running smoothly. I worked at an ad agency that handled commercial shoots for some big brands, which meant I was often on location for days at a time. The agency was run by twin brothers, Robert and Stephen Walker. Stephen was a gambler, never married, and lived a wild life, but we got along well. I'd been with them for years and made good money. Whenever my wife needed a wingman at events, Robert, who's openly gay, would step up without hesitation. It helped with his public image and kept the family solid in a strange way. David showed up Friday with the gear and some extras to check. First, he told me to set up a cloud email for the videos. I made a new account just for that. The cams were tiny, like diamond studs, all motion activated. One was hidden in the earrings I gave my wife. They last a week before needing a recharge, done wirelessly. When a cam caught something, she just had to take the earring off and put it in its box. Each had an ID linked to everything recorded. David asked why I wanted them. I said, "I got a bad feeling, don't know what exactly. Need to see if my gut's wrong." Sunday night, I gave Deborah, my wife of 18 years, the earrings. She loved them, promised to wear them while I was gone. Before the airport, I stopped by work, left notes in both brothers' offices that I'd call if needed. I set up cams there too, watching their desks, connected to everything they needed. I flew from New York to Whistler, BC for a 2-week snowboard shoot. Lucky there was still snow on the peaks. I'm not big, 5'9", 166 pounds. Deborah's the same height. She never wore heels around me. Blonde hair, good looks, and plenty of guys noticed. But she shut them down quick. At home, life slowed, but was steady. Kids followed her side of the family's example. Just to be safe, we did DNA and fingerprint tests on the kids. Wednesdays, I did karate. She hit the theater. Otherwise, we spent free time together. Fridays were for dinner and dancing. We loved to dance. Weekends, we focused on the kids. Deborah ran her own home decor business, bringing in good money. She had an answering service when out. When work got heavy, our parents helped. The kids built close bonds with them both. Monday night, I started digging through the info the company sent, sending daily updates from the work laptop. Then I checked mine and saw 3 sent messages. The first caught my eye, a fight between Stephen and Robert. "I'm done," Robert said. Playing your muse so you can entertain Deborah ain't fun anymore. If Glenn finds out, we're screwed. He's doing the work for 3 guys, and without him, we lose millions. You gotta stop this. I can't, Stephen said. I love her. And Deborah says their 3 kids are mine. Jesus, you're dumb, Robert snapped. I'm seeing our corporate lawyer. If this leaks, we're done. Glenn will crush us, and he's got every right. I went to puke. Then I called my cousin Gordon, high-paid divorce lawyer, and woke him up. He wasn't happy when I told him what I found. Told me to send all the videos, he'd start work. First thing, I want Stephen Walker's DNA, he said. Videos alone won't hold up, but transcripts can. Send me your HR manual. Get a notary to fax me power of attorney. Tomorrow, I'll bring in our PI to dig in. Find out when, where, how. Good thing you're in Canada, he added. If you're gone, they'll drop their guard. If all goes right, it's smart to play nice before you get back. I said I'd be back in just under 2 weeks, maybe longer. Next morning, I called my assistant, who handles stuff while I was shooting. Told her to forward the lawyer's orders to Gordon's office. Nora said, "Guess you finally figured it out." When I said yes, she said she'd stay quiet for now, but would testify if needed. So management knew all along. Then I went to the family doc, told him I needed my kids' DNA copies for the lawyers. Since I was making a new will, I put the fee on my card. One Canadian on set found a notary for me. The rest of the week, I just sent videos. Knew my cousin had it covered. Spent free time fighting the urge to hit the gym or get wasted. Now I felt my dad's pain. Friday afternoon, after setting up what I could for the weekend, I flew by helicopter to Vancouver, then drove all night to New York, rented a car, and parked a block from my house. I was shocked to see family picking up our 3 kids. Half-hour later, Deborah came out in a tight new dress and high heels that hugged her like skin. Once she left, I shut off my alarm and went to my office. Pulled out what I called my 16 journals, logs with dates, trips, what went down, and where I was. Those logs saved my A in court more than once. An hour later, I sat at Gordon's kitchen going over what he'd found. They'd taken Steve's DNA and were waiting on results. They'd found a penthouse the 2 owned for 22 years. Neighbors thought they were just a regular couple. He had proof they were there. So much neighbors thought they worked weekends and nights. Twice a week, cleaners came by. He had an affidavit saying they were a couple before I met her. Her firm's only client was a shell company that flipped cheap apartments, sold them as furnished, charging way more. The company was all Steve's. Tax records showed Deborah made over $500,000 a year after costs, but only pulled out less than $80K for herself. My kids might not be mine, but were they Steve's? That was still a question. Since Deborah played me, did she do the same to Steve? Gordon said my mom would pick up the kids next weekend since I wasn't due back till Monday. We planned to hit hard when Deborah was at the penthouse, her main spot. I'd take whatever I thought was mine from the house. I told him I'd fly in Friday night. He'd freeze all cards in both names and drain half our accounts before court could stop it. The day I came home, I'd fly back to Canada and grind through the shoot twice as hard. Saturday morning, Robert met me at the airport. He looked shocked I wrapped early and couldn't get why our meeting couldn't wait till Monday. I had the company laptop with me. Over coffee, we went through the trip and what the editors needed to do. We were sitting there when a guy came up and asked, "You Robert Walker?" He nodded. The guy said, "You've been served." Before Robert could say a word, I handed over my laptop, company keys, credit cards, and pulled a resignation letter from my jacket. Then I told him his brother and my wife had quit too. His face went pale. "How bad is this going to get?" he asked. I said, "I'm going to shove it down their throats. I got DNA proving Steven's the real dad of all Deborah's kids, and mine. Those 2 are messing around in their penthouse right now. Remind them the court ordered them to stay 500 feet away from my mom, kids, and me." Robert looked like he was about to lose it. I stood up to leave. He lunged at me in a rage. Before security showed, he was flat on the floor, blood running down his face. His good looks weren't going to save him now, only the doctor bills. My mom and kids met me when I got home. Opening the garage, I had to tell my daughters and son I wasn't their real dad. Mom lost it when I said their mom was now with the guy who'd become their dad in their love shack. I told them, "That's been going on longer than your mom and I have been married. For now, you'll live with me until the court decides. After all interviews, they'll look at how all 3 parents treat you before ruling." They were crushed. So was I. Then someone tried the door. Mom went to open it. I said, no alarm's still on. I called the cops and told them someone was trying to break in while I wasn't supposed to be home. They said they were already on their way. The door got forced open. Stephen was kicking a window in the big metal door, sticking his hand in to unlock the chain when the cops arrived. They caught the intruders. The officer knocked and said who he was. When I opened, I saw Stephen and Deborah cuffed in the back of the cruiser. She claimed she lives here, the cop said. I showed him the restraining order served that morning. He smiled. Looks like they're both headed to jail until the judge sees them. My mom finally admitted what she did to me years ago was wrong. Seeing all this made her get the cost. Not me, but the kids. She said, I'm no better than Deborah. Your dad forgave me, but was never the same. If he hadn't died in that accident, I don't know if we'd be here now. Sunday morning, Deborah and Steve's mugshots were front page in the New York Post as they were led to jail. I told the court reporter the full story. I was forced out because Stephen had a long-term thing with my wife. It had hit the papers Monday. The DNA test showed my kids were related to the Walker brothers. The board had to decide what to do. That Sunday night, me, Carl, and Carla had dinner at a local spot. Later, at home, Grandma put the girls to bed so me and Dad-in-law could talk. Dad said, I found out about Deborah and Steve before I met her, when I was in Canada. I showed him a video of Robert and Steve talking. He shook his head. He had no clue. I showed him papers for the penthouse, bought 2 years before our wedding, still under her maiden name. Damn, Carl said. You were an a-hole the day you got married. Seeing that clip made me hire a lawyer and PI. They said it was easy to find dirt because those two thought they'd hidden everything. I said, but I won't let this mess hurt Mom's or your bond with the kids. I gave him court papers and notes. While he read, I poured us shots of Irish whiskey. What hit him hardest was a convo where Deborah told a friend how easily her family and I got fooled. It was their joint plan that I'd raise Steve's kids, I said. From day one, Glenn was loyal to me. He loved me so much he'd believe anything. That love blinded him. Steve made sure Glenn was his go-to guy on set. Steve said, Glenn cut reshoot costs by 80%. Our profits and rep shot way up. Glenn thought our home was fine. He didn't suspect a thing. Deborah said, he's a great dad. When Terry, my youngest, graduates, I'll file for divorce and get him out. I'll use the escort service Steven's firm runs. The fool won't even see it coming. I'll squeeze him dry. She laughed. I came back and saw my father-in-law crying. Where'd you get all this? Carl asked. Seriously? I opened my laptop, pulled up my email, and played the latest video from Deborah's phone. Steve's voice came in. This sucks. No clue how Glenn found out. Deborah said, he says you're the kid's dad, but no proof yet. It's just his lawyer's talk. Smoke and mirrors, right? Steve, Glenn quit and served Robert Saturday. If he serves corporate tomorrow, we're done. Lucky the judge just warned us. I gotta pack office stuff and find a divorce lawyer. I also gotta spin a story for my folks. Gotta make it look like Glenn's cheating, not me. And you're just helping me. You think they'll buy it? Deborah, they believe my story. They never caught me lying. If I get shaky, I cry, always calms them down. I'm daddy's girl. Steve, what about our 3 kids? You want them to take my last name when we marry? I shut off the video, almost about to cry. I said, Deborah's diamond earrings have tiny cams. They charge wirelessly and send video over Wi-Fi when full. While she wears them, we get everything. Carla came in. I gave her wine and left them to talk. I came back just in time to see Carl replay the video. Carla's face said it all. Mom, she said, tears in her eyes. So the divorce papers are true. She cheated. For how long? Dad asked. Longer than their marriage, Carl said. Our grandkids are from Deborah and Stephen. I've seen the DNA report. Deborah's no longer my daughter. She threw away everything our family stood for. I can't get over the lies and how long it lasted. She doesn't even regret being caught. Makes me wonder how many times we took the kids so she could party with her real man. They're still our grandkids, Carla cried. I don't want to lose them. If I get custody, you'll have full access. I told Dad that before talks even started, I said to calm her. But you both should ask court for full access no matter who wins. You'll have to sue all 3 of us. But it's smart. That way you tell Deborah you're staying neutral for now. Don't close doors you might need later. Carl nodded. Honey, Glenn's always family to me. He's hurting too, but puts us first, Carl said. Seems Deborah and her lover don't care about the kids at all. She's lied to us all her adult life. Where did we mess up? Dad asked. When Deborah said she loved Glenn, was that true? Mom said. Monday was busy. I drove the kids to school, then told the office what was going on. If Deborah tried contacting the kids at school, cops would know. My soon-to-be ex hired a pricey divorce lawyer. The firm I worked at got sued. Wednesday, Dad filed suit against Deborah and me. He said she was furious and wanted him to drop it, and he told her she and Mom didn't know what to believe but wanted the grandkids protected. He asked why she was denied access. She didn't answer. Then he told her I said to sue all of them after family dinner Sunday. That's why you weren't invited. He made us promise to sue so our grandkids wouldn't get hurt by their parents' mess. He even gave us your penthouse address. That's how we knew where to sue. City records say, you and Glenn's boss co-own that place, making his claim stronger. Deborah lost it and hung up. Most people run when truth hits hard. Luckily, Friday was the last day before spring break, so my in-laws, my 3 kids, my mom, and I headed to Disneyland for a week, leaving Saturday and coming back a week later. The trip was planned weeks before, but there was no way to get a discount on Deborah's ticket. Gordon got Deborah and her lawyer to sign over her share of the house, saying it would cover her part of the house expenses during our marriage, and that it wouldn't count as a marital asset in the divorce. She didn't get that her corporation, run from our home address, would count as one. Walker's HR accepted my firing terms, so until my sick and vacation days ran out, I was still on the books. That gave me till June to figure out my next move. From my old assistant, Nora, I found out the board was giving me time to cool off before working with me again. They knew I was valuable, and clients were asking if I'd come back. Though the Walker brothers owned big chunks, they could be kicked out for cause. The board could force them to sell their stock, so they hired a firm to weigh options and deal with the fallout. Gordon let Deborah into the garage to get her stuff after copying all her business records, including bank stuff. While we were gone, he had forensic accountants check all our kids' expenses from day one. Using interest rates, he broke down costs yearly, tripled it, then doubled for stress and pain, then added interest to bring it up to today's value. I sued Steve for alienation of affection and both brothers for messing with my marriage. I used infidelity against Deborah. The kids just got home when someone knocked. It was a social worker checking a complaint that I wasn't watching the kids. Turns out Deborah's lawyer called. My son let her inside. She found me and my daughters prepping dinner, smelling the roast in the oven. She said why she was there. I told her to look in the fridge and cabinets while I peeled potatoes. After she did, I offered coffee and grabbed 2 big mugs. Sorry, didn't catch your name, I said. Trisha Marsh, she said. Call me Glenn, I said. If you got time, you should talk to my kids now. I bet the court will want that. Dinner's almost ready. Want to stay? She said. My son took her to the den while Tina and Terry helped me. After dinner, Trisha spent a long time with my daughters. Carl and I did dishes. None had done homework, so I wrote notes explaining why. Later, Trisha and I talked alone. First, I showed her Steve and Deborah's chat. For 16 years? No clue, she said. They planned it all. She wanted kids, he didn't, so they picked you to raise his. Yeah, that's about right, I said. Makes me wonder if I ever knew my own wife. The marriage was full of lies. They planned the whole thing. Guess neither loved kids. She said, they see you and the kids as a pain to get around. Your wife's lawyer tries to make you look like you don't care. But I've seen the truth. You told the kids Steve's their real dad, right? Yeah. Good. You're listed as dad on their birth certificates? Yes. That's huge. Shows you didn't know and treated them like yours. Courts will care about that in custody fights. Send me that clip. I'll include it in my report. Stuff like this is why I never married. I smiled. Can't change the past. I love my kids no matter what. They might not share my genes, but they're all me. She smiled back. I like that. I'll check out your soon-to-be ex's place and talk to them right now. You're in a good spot. The judge will see that. I wrote it down. I noted. Glenn Allen James was chosen by Deborah because he was good enough to raise her kids, but not good enough to be their real dad. Mr. James proved Mrs. James was in a common law deal with Mr. Stephen Walker before and during their marriage. We talked for a couple more hours, keeping it chill, and promised to stay in touch. We swapped numbers. She was surprised Deborah hadn't reached out to the kids since the day we filed. She wrote that down. Later, I found out she called a detective on her way home, asking if a crime happened. He said yeah, but wanted to check with the prosecutor if they'd go after it. Next year was election time, and the district attorney was running. Back then, I didn't know how big this mess was. Tuesday morning, I got the kids ready for school and saw Trisha wanted me to send that video clip to the DA. I sent him all the clips I had and told him more were coming. 3 hours later, he called. He'd gotten a court order for wiretaps overnight, so what I sent could be used in court without naming me. The clips came from an email, so it looked like a third party sent them. He planned to charge them both with extortion, 1 count for each year. They screwed me and the kids. I said I hoped charges came before divorce court. When the kids got home, we ordered pizza early so I could watch the local news. The CBS station ran it all. Deborah and Stephen got questioned right after leaving dinner. For the next hour, I kept getting calls, telling folks I didn't know what was going on. The rest of the week seemed calm, but I was wrong. Wednesday, someone saw me entering a rival company's building. No one knew I was meeting a friend for lunch next day. Next morning, the gossip page said I was talking to their top people about a job. I called the writer and said, "Check the files again. Maybe you missed the name of the twin my wife was with at the theater. Don't forget a date night." She asked, "How'd your date go?" I said, "My lawyer told me not to say anything right now." Then Friday morning, after dropping the kids at school, I pulled up to the house as Deborah got out of the car. She wore jeans and a t-shirt, looked tired and sad. No makeup. Never saw her without at least eyeliner. Seeing her like that made me check the new computer for what the cameras had sent me. I walked up to the curb, eyes drilling into her like she owed me cash. "Glenn," Deborah said, voice slick but venomous, "my folks won't even give me the time of day. Told me to piss off until I fix this crap storm I made. Siblings don't want nothing to do with me either. All I want is to see my damn kids." I smirked, cold as ice. "And why the F should I give a damn?" She sneered. "'Cause you didn't even bother to call them, did you?" I laughed, harsh and bitter. "I called that first Sunday. They hung up on me like I was dirt. Guess they were still too damn pissed. Not my problem." Deborah's eyes narrowed, voice ice cold. "I got a crapload to explain. My lawyer's gonna deal with the judge. Supervised visits or bust. You won't stop me." "Supervised?" I spat like it was poison. "Yeah, right. I'll make damn sure the judge knows you broke the court order. You're digging your own grave." Her smile was a razor blade. "Thanks for the tip, a-hole." I stepped closer, voice low and cutting. "We're gonna sit down and talk. You owe me that much." She laughed, ugly and hollow. "Talk? F that. You married me because Stephen was too much of a coward to step up. You needed a sucker to take the fall, that's all. You two used me like a damn joke." I snarled. Our whole marriage was a goddamn lie. No man would do that crap out of love. You're just a pawn in your own sick game. Bet you two are laughing your asses off right now. I heard you're planning to shack up with Steve as soon as this crap's over. Real classy. Her face didn't twitch, eyes like ice daggers. "We're done. Steve had to bounce. Cops slapped us with a no-contact order while they dig through the mess. He's crashing at some cheap-A hotel." She shrugged like I was dirt beneath her boots. "My lawyer screwed up filing a complaint with Child Services. They grilled us good. Condo boards breathing down our necks. Want the place sold yesterday. Kids and me got interviewed Monday." I narrowed my eyes, voice dark as night. "What the hell did they say? What crap did they spill?" She flicked her hair, cold and cruel. "Interview was private, so freak if I know. The kids can choose now. This weekend, they're with your damn parents. Like it or lump it. No goodbye, no regrets. Just cold, hard truth like a slap to the face." I turned and stormed back inside, grabbed my laptop, brewed a fresh coffee, and opened it up. Crap. A whole crap show had exploded since Monday. An HR rep had been using Roger's office to grill everyone from the top brass down through the ranks. It was rough finding out how many of them had been mocking me behind my back. Loads got canned without any heads up. My lawyer and the DA would have loved to get their hands on this mess. Turns out Stephen was playing dirty, bribing folks, handing out promos and blackmailing people just to keep his secret relationship quiet. Straight up criminal stuff. Late Thursday night, once most people had cleared out, the board and CEO gathered. They got the full scoop. Who knew what, when everything went down and why? Even former employees had been grilled. The big question was what to do with Stephen and Robert. Stephen was done as president and Roger was on his way out. The HR chief told the CEO she'd spotted me coming into the building, and that according to her inside sources, aka office gossip, I'd been approached by competitors. The CEO just chuckled. "Sure, but can any of those guys actually offer him the president's spot?" Without missing a beat, the HR lady grabbed her phone and said she was heading out to check if Nora was still around. The CEO asked, Why is Nora Glenn's assistant anyway? She knows him inside and out. She gets what's going on in his head, the HR rep said. That's when it hit me. State law says if you live together more than a year, it counts like marriage. So I called the DA, pitched the idea, and they were all over it. Legally, Deborah could be hit with bigamy charges as soon as they approved the relationship. I gave them Gordon's number and asked them to fax over everything we had. 2 hours later, Gordon rang. Damn, Glenn, I missed this one. Should have seen it coming. This is gold. Your divorce just became a full-blown criminal case. Deborah's going to be indicted any minute. George Davidson's heading the DA's probe into those two, he said. You brought it up. I'm dropping the divorce. We're going for an annulment instead, since legally she was already married. Just got to sort out the details, I said. Should be easy with Deborah locked up, Gordon laughed. Crazy how they got away with all their shady moves for so long. Their own screw-ups are what's sinking them and making our case bulletproof. Wait till I email you everything I've got saved. Call the DA and ask if they can extend the wiretap order. That'll save me a ton of money, I said. Make sure to say the next letter from me will include evidence of criminal activity. Maybe, but I'm pushing for her to cover your legal fees, Gordon replied. Glenn, seriously? I have employee confessions about what Steve did to hide that common law marriage. I'll send those to you, I said. Back at my laptop, I pulled up a video of the CEO, CFO, and HR head chatting. They all agreed my case was a lost cause. They could try to fight it, but the bad press alone would wreck their reputation. They figured it'd be smarter to settle fast for as little as possible. Within minutes, my lawyer and the DA had forwarded all the emails I'd gotten to their side. Then my phone buzzed. It was Nora. Hey, stranger, long time no talk. How you holding up? I asked. Glenn, it's a total mess. HR's shaken up. Everyone's getting one-on-one interviews. They even brought in a notary to watch. We lost good people. Some got fired, others quit, Nora said. Steve and Robert were called in after the CEO meeting. Security let Steven clear out his desk, then booted him. Robert's been stripped of duties while they decide what's next, she added. You think you're safe? I asked. I handed in my resignation but said you're the best choice for my spot. That's what they told me. Right now, I'm just acting. No final call till they find a new president. But my gut says it's you. Stephen and Robert never did anything without running it by you. Turns out they learned the hard way. People heard them, but didn't listen, she said. I focused on what mattered. Skipped the fluff clients thought was important. In the end, they were happy with the results, I told her. My phone's been blowing up since I left, but I'm not promising anything yet, I added. Thanks, Glenn. You gave me what I needed without spilling the beans. So, you still thinking about coming back? Nora asked. Depends, I laughed. All right, send me Gossip Girl's email if you've got it from your personal account, she said. No problem. I'll shoot it to you from my phone, I said. No one knew I'd already sent Gossip Girl every video not tied to the divorce. She'd dig through the details and publish everything. No names, but everyone would know who it was about. The writer was a pro at leaving no doubt. Then my son ran in from the living room while I was getting dinner ready. Dad, Mom's on the early news, he said. I flipped through the channel and saw her being led away in handcuffs. During the next news broadcast, the spokesperson announced that Deborah was officially charged with being married to two men at the same time. Bigamy under the law. Can she actually go to jail if they prove it? Carl asked. Yeah, it's a felony here, I said. How long she could get depends on the judge, I added. My dad used to say, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. That little advice kept me from making a lot of dumb mistakes back in the day. How long will she stay locked up? My son asked. That depends, I said. She stays in custody until she sees a judge and posts bail. Depending on the jail, she might already be out by now. Carl and Carla swung by to pick up the kids. The boys were heading to a monster truck rally Saturday morning, while the girls had 2 soccer games coming up. Honestly, I needed a break from the house. I still can't believe it, Carl said, shaking his head. Deborah getting arrested for bigamy. She could do up to 10 years depending on the judge. I know, Dad, I said. And it's going to get uglier before it gets better. Turns out her boyfriend used bribes, threats, and blackmail to keep their relationship under wraps. The DA's office has video proof from people Steve screwed over. I felt bad for Carl. His daughter must have been tearing him apart. Suddenly, I was alone, and I shouldn't have been feeling that way. Mentally and emotionally, I was drained. I thought, this must be what rock bottom feels like. I sat on the stairs and just cried. I couldn't stop myself. Some say depression helps you heal or cope, but if that's true, then what's hell? The human mind and heart are delicate. No matter how much you plan, you can't control when or how those feelings come crashing down. 3 hours later, I was at a nearby park, tossing unsalted peanuts to squirrels, feeling completely lost. Most people don't get how lonely divorce really is. Friends you thought were solid suddenly pull away to protect themselves. Others drift off because they don't know what to believe. And then there's the new reality: being single when everyone else is married. Suddenly, you don't quite fit in anymore. I was deep in thought, oblivious to everything around me, when a guy sat down on the far end of the bench. "I've been watching you for a while," he said. "It looked like those squirrels were your best buddies. I wondered if you were really holding up, Glenn." "I guess not," I said. "Divorce sucks, huh? You gotta find your own way out of it," he said. "Name's Trisha Marsh. Easier said than done. I've learned you go through divorce alone. Most friends act like it's contagious," I replied. "Come on, coffee's on me, no work talk," Trish said. "All right," I agreed. Turns out Trish was on her way to do her weekly grocery run, so I tagged along. I found out she mostly bought frozen fast food. She said when you're cooking just for yourself, you lose interest. I knew that feeling well. It was the same with my mom. The problem is, your diet suffers when you don't care. We pushed our carts toward the deli. I asked the clerk for a dozen fresh wontons and a quarter-pound of roast duck. "You into wonton soup?" I asked Trish. "'Cause that's what I'm cooking if you're cool with it." "Sounds good. Your place is just a couple blocks away," she said. Back at my place, I washed and chopped vegetables into neat pieces, told her I was using chicken broth since the wontons were mostly pork. I cut up the duck too. Trish pulled out 2 pots, one with salted water, one with broth. Once the broth boiled, I threw in corn, water, chestnuts, spices, and duck. Left the colorful peppers and snow peas for last. The salted water boiled, so I dropped in the wontons. Before draining them, I tossed fresh veggies into the soup and topped it with 2 drops of soy sauce. After tasting, I added a pinch of garlic powder. Then I added the wontons back in, letting everything soak up the flavors before serving. Trish took a bite and lit up. I'd made enough for a few servings, so she could have leftovers. While we ate, I told her I usually make wontons in big batches and freeze them. "Here's a tip," I said. "Use a little less broth and thicken it with cornstarch to turn it into a stew. Perfect over rice." When Trish found out how little I'd spent on groceries, she was shocked. I left her place feeling lighter than I had in a long time. Trish accepted me as I was, and that was exactly what I needed. Knowing who you really are can move mountains. Today it moved mine. Sunday morning, flipping through the paper, I spotted a 2-page spread in Gossip Cop about the ex-president's ongoing power plays. It detailed everything: promotions, blackmail, bribery. The article ended with the question, "Is anyone investigating this? If not, why?" I shot Trish a text, asking if she wanted to hit up Coney Island with me. She said yes. On our first date, we acted like a couple of teenagers, laughing, goofing around. I asked her why she'd never tied the knot. She told me her career always got in the way, and that being on call all the time really messed with her relationships. I got it, coming from both sides. My own career had done the same to me. When I saw my family for Sunday dinner, even my kids and relatives noticed I was in a great mood. They all said they hadn't seen me this happy in weeks. Monday morning, Nora called with a heads up. The chairman of the board was planning to stop by. Looks like they were starting the process to reel me back in. A story that ran in the Sunday paper apparently lit the fire. Everyone knew exactly who it was about. Nora told me the board planned to go to court to get a legal order, forcing Steve and Robert to sell their shares since they'd been refusing, and neither of them worked there anymore. Out of nowhere, Deborah called me. She wanted to meet up, just the 2 of us, somewhere neutral and no phones allowed. I told her I needed 10 minutes to think it over and promised I'd call her back. I called Gordon. He told me sometimes the best place to talk private is right in the middle of a crowd, where no one pays attention because they're busy. So 1 o'clock, Nathan's hot dog stand in the park. Deborah and I found a bench, sat down, phones out, switched off, right in front of us. No sneaky crap. I looked at her, voice flat and cold. "What the hell do you want, Deborah?" She didn't waste time. "I need to know if you've got any clue who's screwing with Steve and me. Gossip Girl's breathing down the cops' necks like she's their goddamn boss. Steven's own company kicked him to the curb. Robert's saying they did the same to him. And now you're out here filing for an annulment." I shrugged like it was obvious. Steven's problems with the board. Heard it's them feeding the cops. That's why they've got witnesses lining up and dirt piling. She shot back quick. "Can't say crap about that. Lawyers got me on lockdown. I raised an eyebrow. Then why the F you sitting here with me? Deborah's eyes flicked around like she was weighing her options. Because we're screwed, deep. Marsh filed her report in court last week. Word is the kids want to stay with you. Given what Steve and I are up against, I gotta admit, I agree. Another lawyer's warning me I'm staring down the barrel of some serious jail time. If the judge buys that I was legally married to Steven, but apparently it's all a gray area because there's no damn marriage certificate. She leaned in, voice low but with a twisted smile. I gotta tell my 3 kids I ran into you today. They're gonna ask how you look. I cocked my head, amused. How are they holding up emotionally? She softened for a second, voice almost real. They have their days. It sucks because I can't explain the mess or answer their crap. Well, what kind of questions? She was fishing, trying to get back in. I scoffed, voice dark. What did they do to deserve this? Hell, I ask myself that every damn day. Deborah smirked, sharp as a blade. You should write a book, married to 2 men for 20 years. Bet it'd be a bestseller with all the dirt. I didn't even blink. I stood up, cold as ice. Keep dreaming, Deborah. And I walked off, leaving her sitting there with nothing but her lies. Deborah. Was she ever really capable of putting anyone else before herself? Honestly, she was like one of those stubborn old dogs who never learned new tricks. What made it worse was that by that point, I couldn't even summon a shred of sympathy for her. Any feelings I once had were completely dead and buried. When I walked in that evening, the first thing I did was check my email, and there it was, a video waiting for me. Clear as day, it captured a conversation between Deborah and me, her voice loud and sharp, mine a little worn. I grinned like a kid who'd just found a secret treasure as I forwarded it to that gossip columnist who never missed a beat. By Tuesday, the gossip page exploded with headlines screaming, "Bigamist Deborah James set to spill secrets and tell-all memoir after 18 years of secret marriages." Carl and Carla Matthews, needless to say, were furious. Their daughter wasn't just exposed. She seemed damn proud of it. Wednesday night, I got a call from Gordon, and for once, it was good news. Court went smoothly today, he said. The judge ruled that legally you 2 were never married because she was still married to someone else when you tied the knot. So the annulment's official. That decision gave Gordon some room to maneuver when it came to splitting assets. Deborah's lawyer fought tooth and nail, but the judge made a ruling that counted her home-based business as part of the marital estate. The split? 65% in my favor, 35% to her, and everyone was on the hook for their own legal bills. When her attorney pushed for a fairer division, the judge didn't blink. Given that her first husband wasn't even named in this divorce and was part of the scam, Glenn James gets what's rightfully his. I had to admit it was a serious blow to her. The court gave me temporary sole custody of the kids until her legal mess was sorted out, but I had to give her unrestricted access to visit whenever she wanted. Then Friday hit and Stephen Walker was arrested. Suddenly, a whole bunch of people he'd treated like dirt over the years found themselves tangled in legal proceedings, working closely with the district attorney's office. Deborah's life had been on a steady decline for months. She used to have 2 lovers to keep her warm at night. Now, she had no one. I was out in the yard trimming bushes and planting flowers when Bill Burrows, the chairman of the board, showed up unexpectedly. We need to have a serious face-to-face conversation about all this, Glenn, he said, looking me right in the eye. I hope you've had enough time to think things over. I stood up, stretched out my hand, and he shook it firmly. This isn't about the company, I told him. It's about the people who actually work here. That earned me a big grin from Bill. Exactly what I needed to hear. Let's see if we can find some common ground. We headed inside and sat down in the kitchen. We talked for hours. Bill was brutally honest. No spinning or hiding facts. It felt good to hear, especially after they'd filed that lawsuit forcing Steve and Robert to sell their shares. Eventually, they agreed to swap their common stock for preferred shares, which stripped them of their voting rights in the company. That's been one of my biggest concerns, I said. Bill went through the recent layoffs, explaining the reasons behind each one, and talked about the folks who chose to quit. There are a few I'd like to bring back if I come back. They were caught up in this mess just like me. You can't fault people for not knowing what they were stepping into. Then came the surprise. Bill put a generous settlement offer on the table from the company. I called Gordon right away. After chatting with Bill, Gordon told me to accept it. Bill pulled out a contract naming me president of the company and handed it over. I know you won't sign anything until your lawyer reviews the paycheck details. But in the meantime, take a look at this. I think you're going to be pleased. By the time Bill left, we'd been talking for over 3 hours. Later, I called Trish, hoping she wasn't busy. She wasn't. I invited her to join my family for a holiday dinner. What's the occasion? She asked. I laughed. A few things: finalizing the divorce, getting custody, settling the lawsuit, and maybe coming back to work. She said yes right away. I booked a spot at a restaurant with a private room for 8 p.m. I called my in-laws, my mom, my sister, and her husband. Everyone said yes. I told my sister to bring the kids, too. Then I called Trish and told her I'd pick her up at 7. On the way, we stopped at her place so I could buy her some flowers, a mix of red and yellow roses with some ferns arranged in a nice vase, to thank her for everything she'd done. The kids teased me the whole drive about me falling in love, chatting about what they liked about Trish. When we arrived, I left the kids in the car and went upstairs alone. Trish absolutely loved the flowers. She looked stunning in a pale yellow dress, like the first days of summer. Her blue eyes sparkled with excitement. She'd clearly taken care to look nice, and it showed. Flowers, huh? She teased, grinning. So what? You're calling this our first date? I stumbled over my words, caught off guard. She smiled and took my hand gently. It's been a while since I made a guy lose his breath, she said with a wink. Well, I'll take that as a yes, I laughed. That moment, it's etched in my mind forever. We got back in the car and the kids were buzzing, bragging about me winning custody. I told Trish who else was coming. Wow, meeting the family on our first official date, she said with a laugh. Tammy, my oldest daughter, who definitely got her feistiness from her grandma Carla, told me she really liked the flowers her dad brought her. Trish pulled up a picture of the bouquet and Tammy made it her phone's wallpaper. Traffic slowed us down, so we were about 10 minutes late. I'd pre-ordered 2 bottles of their best-selling medium dry champagne. Before I could even start introductions, my youngest, Terry, piped up, "This is Trish Marsh, Dad's girlfriend." We both burst out laughing, and that pretty much set the mood for the entire evening. At dinner, I laid it all out for everyone. The court order, what the judge had ruled, and how the whole thing shook out. Then I filled them in on the lawsuit settlement that was finally coming together against the company. I told them Robert and Stephen Walker were officially out of their management jobs, no longer calling the shots. And just when they thought they'd heard it all, I dropped the news. I'd been offered the president's chair. Trish chimed in with a little story of her own. I'm actually the social services rep who was sent in to check out a complaint against you, she said with a grin. And that's how we met. Carl got up, clutching a glass of champagne. Man, Glenn, after everything you've been through, Carla and I were worried you'd shut us out. But instead, you pulled us all closer. I just want to say congrats. You're finally getting the respect you've earned. Here's to Glenn, being exactly who he is, and to Trish for bringing that smile back. The room filled with smiles and clinking glasses. It was a rare moment of pure warmth. As the night wound down and people started gathering their things, Carl pulled me aside quietly. We're taking the kids for the weekend, he said. We've got keys, so we'll swing by and grab whatever you need. Don't waste time looking back, Glenn. It's time to build a new life. I caught Trish's eye and asked, You like to dance? She laughed. I'm down. We hit the road, music playing low. I dropped her off at her place just before 3 a.m., and we planned to meet again around noon. That weekend, we basically spent it together. Monday morning rolled around, and after walking the kids to school, I finally opened the offer letter. It blew me away. More than double what I'd been making before. Built-in stock bonuses if certain goals were hit, and a signing bonus with options for cash or stock. Bill had already signed it. I immediately called my business lawyer and set up a meeting to go through every last detail. I wasn't about to miss anything. Later that morning, while folding laundry, a knock came at the door. I opened it and was surprised to see a small, sharp-eyed Asian woman standing there. My first thought? Great, Jehovah's Witnesses at my door. But she smiled. Lin Wang, she said, holding up a press badge. Better known as Gossip Girl. I invited her inside. Coffee or tea? I asked. She smirked. If you've got a good shot of gin, that'd work. A little early for me, but I wasn't about to judge. I poured the drinks, gin for her, beer for me, and we settled in. Sorry to bother you, Mr. James, Lynn said, pulling out her phone, but I want to show you something. She played a video of a conversation between Deborah and me. Then a clip where Deborah insisted she never planned to write a book, just wanted a retraction to help her divorce appeal. Before I decide what to do with this, I want your take, Lynn said. I nodded. Go ahead, fire it up. She clicked on her recorder. Wang here. You can use my full name. What you just saw, that's only a sliver of our talks. We covered everything, from kids to the divorce. Over 18 years, it became clear to all of us that everything she told me was straight-up lies. Because of that, I can't take anything she says at face value, I said. Everything I believed turned out to be false. Tell me, did she lie to you too? Lynn sighed. I can't say she didn't. That's the sad part. If she couldn't be honest with me, then she probably didn't care enough to lie. Hope that clears things up for you. That helps, thanks, I said. She shut off the recorder. I'm thinking of running a little survey in my column. I'll print her side, word for word, then ours. Let readers decide who's telling the truth. Looking forward to that, I said sincerely. My dad used to say, give a man enough rope and he'll hang himself. Deborah was proving him right, chasing money that was slipping through her fingers. I had a feeling Mrs. Wang saw it too. Later, my ex called. She wanted to take the kids out to dinner. I told her they'd be home by 4 p.m. and she should come over instead. Sure enough, she showed up. Not long after, my oldest daughter opened the door. I heard her yell, "Mom's here!" Then the sound of little feet running off. I stayed put in the kitchen. I didn't want to get caught up in any drama or be accused of messing with their relationship. A few minutes later, the front door clicked shut. One by one, the kids came back inside. We told her, "It's too soon, Dad?" Tammy said quietly. "Because it is," I added. "We can't just forget everything she's done to us." "If I ever did something to a friend like that," Terry said, "I'd probably lose them forever." "You want us to just act like everything's fine?" Carl said, his voice low. I told her to go straight to hell. She asked, "Who gave you the right to say that?" I told them. "My grandfather," I replied without hesitation. To lighten the mood, I asked, "Who wants McDonald's for dinner?" Everyone raised their hands. After homework was done, I called Trish and filled her in on what had happened. She wasn't surprised. Even if you played it cool, they could see how much it hurt. Steven's legal troubles are eating him up. He's telling his team to settle for the cheapest deal he can. Robert quit and is suing me for damages from the fight. That Friday, after my lawyer tweaked a few things, I finally signed the contract and called Bill. We decided to make the big announcement the following Friday. Of course, I looped in Gossip Girl. She had to know. My mom decided to take the kids for the weekend to give me some breathing room. Trish was tied up with another case and couldn't make it. With some downtime, I started tracking down a few folks who had quit. 2 of them were absolutely key to the reorganization plan I had in mind. Once I showed them my shiny new contract and made it clear that the head of HR either needed to resign or get booted, they agreed to come back immediately. Turns out these 2 had actually warned HR about what Steven was pulling, but she just ignored them. Classic. I had a good laugh reading Mrs. Wang's column after she went over our conversations, word for word. She asked her readers what they thought. Then she wrote this. Having met these 2, she said, I couldn't help but wonder what Deborah even saw in Glenn. He comes off as kind, caring, and thoughtful. The kind of guy any woman would want. Deborah, she's a hunter, always chasing thrills and control from people, never finding the happiness she really wants. She wears masks for everyone she meets. No makeup, just a disguise. Deborah James used Stephen Walker just as much as he used her, and that's how their whole secret stayed alive. Reading that felt like someone hit the nail right on the head. Monday morning, I called a service looking for a housekeeper to work, Monday through Friday. With my new salary, I could finally afford some help. I also called Bill, the board chairman, to tell him what I'd found out. When he realized the truth, HR was out the door that very night. Talking with Trish, I asked if she knew anyone who'd burned out in this line of work. When I explained I was hunting for a human resources manager who'd been laid off, she told me about 2 perfect candidates. I asked her to have them reach out to me. Fast forward to the last Friday in May. In front of a crowd of media, the board chairman introduced me as the new president. I told the press our company had been through a serious staffing crisis, but we were stepping into a new era with a fresh team. I introduced 2 new vice presidents, both of whom had quit under the previous management's toxic behavior. I made it clear. From now on, integrity and honesty were non-negotiable. Then I introduced the new head of human resources. I pointed out we were proud to be the first company to hire a former social worker in that role because we wanted to raise the bar on ethics and mental well-being higher than ever before. Finally, I asked Nora Richards, my former assistant, to stand. We're thrilled to announce that Nora Richards has been promoted to a newly created vice president position, overseeing all commercial production, I said. The room erupted with applause for her. That moment made it clear. Dedication and hard work really do pay off. As for Deborah, she fought the bigamy charge, lost, and ended up serving 2 years minus 1 day. Stephen settled every lawsuit and is now doing a 10-year stretch. Robert's still fighting it, appealing his loss for the third time. Meanwhile, Trish and I keep dating, and the kids are already pushing us to pick a wedding date.